بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين.
Interpretation of the Holy Quran.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. With the help of Allah, we have decided to have a brief interpretation of Quran. We reach to chapter Mulk. This chapter has 30 verses and it is revealed in Mecca. Please listen to verse 2.
الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا وهو العزيز الغفور.
Allah says, الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا وهو العزيز الغفور. Who created death and life that he may try you, which of you is best in deeds, and he is the mighty, the forgiving. In last session, we explained this verse, and we said the best signs of Allah's power and ability is to create death and life. And we said we can get a few messages from this verse, and we mentioned some. I'm going to continue the rest. When Allah says, لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا, until Allah says, we have created you, it means created death and life, لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. He may try you, which of you is the best. It means best in deeds. Who is going to have a best deeds? We will understand from this verse that when Allah examine us and try us, then we will understand our capacity. We don't know what is our capacity. For example, physical or mental power of a person, how much is it? We don't know. How much we are able to learn, we don't know. When we are under pressure, then we can understand. For example, for how many minutes we can run? We say maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. What about if a thief will follow us? Then we will understand, oh my God, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, we run, even we don't think. So in the time of pressure, we understand our capacity. When we go, for example, in the war, when there is an earthquake, we understand our capacity. Usually we don't have such a capacity. How much we can memorize? We see, oh, it's very difficult. We can't. But when there is an exam, or somebody says, I'm going to pay you something, of course, we have a very good capacity. When a person wants to play soccer, for example, he plays for half an hour, 15 minutes, and he gets tired. But when he sees many people are looking at him, he plays for 3 hours. It means in some times we will see that our capacity will be increased. Allah says in the time of difficulties, your capacity will be increased, and I'm going to examine you to improve you, to know exactly what is your capacity and how much you can work. When Allah says, لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا, He may try you, which of you is the best, it doesn't mean until Allah will get a knowledge. Allah knows already. Allah doesn't need to examine us. But the exam will help ourselves to know it. Many students in the class think that they are very strong. If you tell your child, okay, go and study, he says, I know everything. Learn a little, I know everything. But when he gets the test, for example, and he gets 40 out of 100, 30 out of 100, or fails, for example, anyway, he finds out that he didn't know. This is the reason of tests. Otherwise, the teacher knows which student know and which student doesn't know. Test is going to help the students to get the knowledge. So when Allah examines us, it is going to help ourselves to know how much we know and how much capacity we have, how much we obey Allah, how much good deeds we have in our file. When Allah says, لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا, Allah didn't say, لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَكْثَرُ عَمَلًا. Allah didn't say that. Allah said, أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. Aksar, it means quantity. Who has more? Allah doesn't say who has more deeds, because the quantity is not going to help a person to be improved. But quality, yes, it helps. Allah says, لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا, who is going to have the good and the best deeds. When Allah says, لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ, it is a sign that it is going to continue. First, the exam is for all. لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ. Kum, it means you. You all. It doesn't make a difference between educated people, uneducated people, rich, poor, even those people that are prophets, great people. Allah is going to examine all. And also is not only one time. It is constantly. Maybe a person is a good person for 3 months, 5 months, but after that he fails. For 10 years, 20 years, he fails. We ask Allah to help us to have a good end. Why? Because sometimes the end is important. The second that you give the paper to the teacher is important. You are attending the exam for 5 hours, 3 hours, you play. You write rubbish. But for 2 hours, suddenly you decide and you remove and delete everything and write the perfect. The last second is wonderful. So, Allah is going to examine us all the time, because to be good person for some time is not important. It's not going to save. Many people in the history, for some years, they were very righteous people. But at the end, they sold themselves to rebels, to their desires, to their money, to their position. So, also the opposite side. Some people, they were very bad people for 20 years. Suddenly they changed themselves and they worshipped Allah. Or for many years they committed sin. Only one day on Ashura he changed and he became one of the shuhada, great people. And he was martyred in Ashura. Another message that we get from this verse when Allah says, لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. We have ahsan, we have hasan. Hasan means good deeds. Ahsan means best deeds. It means we should not accept to do something as a good. Since our capital is very limited, we must get the best out of that. Imagine you are living somewhere and you have only $100 for 20 days, for 1 month. Okay, what do? Are you ready to spend $50, for example, for transportation? Can you go and buy a ticket only to go from somewhere to somewhere, $80? Of course not. For every penny you try to use it in a best way. Our life is like that. It is limited. This is our capital. We are going to lose. And in the time of death, we see how much we saved for ourselves, for the day after that it is forever. Allah says, try to get the best. Good is not enough. So if a person, for example, during the day, during the month, he worships Allah one day, is not enough. One day is good, but it's not enough. Try to do the best. Another things, when Allah says, وَهُوَ الْعَزِيزُ الْغَفُورُ, He is the mighty, we know that only Allah's mastery and rule is not going to finish and it has no end. Otherwise, everybody's control or everybody's power and ability is going to finish. Many people had ruled in this world, but now none of them is alive and there is nothing from their ability and their rule. When Allah says, وَهُوَ الْعَزِيزُ الْغَفُورُ, and He is the mighty, the forgiving, we understand that Allah is the only one, that His power, ability is joined and mixed with His mercy. Most of the time, when we get power, at the same time that we have power, we are not going to think about others or to take care of others. When we don't have ability, we say, oh, if I had, I was doing this and that. If I had money, I was helping the poor people. But when we get money, إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَيَتْقَى أَنْ رَآهُ اسْتَغْنَى. He is going to commit sin and forgets everything when he has ability, when he has power. So Allah is the one that at the same time that He has power, He has mighty, He is forgiving also. Another things that we understand when Allah says وَهُوَ الْعَزِيزُ الْغَفُورُ, Allah is the one that He is the mighty, the forgiving. It means if you fell in the exam, if you did not pass, still you should not be disappointed. Sometimes we go to the test and we fail and suddenly we disappointed. We are disappointed. Why? Because we failed. But imagine somebody is staying over there and he said, don't worry, you can come tomorrow. You can come next week. Oh my God, thank you very much. It is nice of you. You helped a lot. Allah is the one and He says, لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنًا, to examine you, who has the best deeds. And immediately He says, وَهُوَ الْعَزِيزُ الْغَفُورُ, He is mighty and He is forgiving. If you fail, you should not be disappointed. Please listen to verse 3.
الذي خلق سبع سماوات طباقا ما ترى في خلق الرحمن من تفاوت فارجع البصر هل ترى من فطور.
Allah says, الذي خلق سبع سماوات طباقا ما ترى في خلق الرحمن من تفاوت فارجع البصر هل ترى من فطور. He created, He is the one who created the 7 heavens, one above another. You see no incongruity in the creation of the beneficent Allah. Then look again. Can you see any disorder? We can get some wonderful messages from this verse. One, when Allah is talking about creation, He emphasizes in so many verses of Quran that everything is organized in a wonderful way, in a best way. This system is organized in a best way. Allah says, مَا تَرَى فِي خَلْقِ الرَّحْمَنِ مِنْ تَفَاوُتٍ. You see no incongruity in the creation of the beneficent Allah. So everything is based on His mercy. مَا تَرَى فِي خَلْقِ الرَّحْمَنِ مِنْ تَفَاوُتٍ. When He talks about Himself, He emphasizes on His beneficent. He says, there is nothing wrong, the system is the best, and it is based on also on Allah's beneficent, of the beneficent Allah. مَا تَرَى فِي خَلْقِ الرَّحْمَنِ مِنْ تَفَاوُتٍ. So we understood that there is no fault, there is nothing short in this life. We cannot imagine even anything better than creating such a things. So if we see some shortages, some problems, it is only, we said so many times, because we see some parts, we see some corners of the creation, but other corners, other side, we will see a lot of benefits. So sometimes we lose something, but somebody who needs much more than us and he is going to die, he finds it. So it was bad for me, but it was the best for another person. Thank you very much for watching. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.